Next, we have a very insane detransition story, which it's insane that these people are treated the way they're treated. Let's see. This is the caption for this is Detransitioner describes how she was rapidly placed on hormones at the age of 15, even though she did not have a persistent record of dysphoria. She has detransitioned and isn't even a senior in high school. Imagine, like, before we even play this video, look at this baby. Look at this child. This is a baby that has been medicalized and permanently physically altered before she's even a senior in high school. This is a baby.
I got on testosterone when I was 15 years old. And the thing that I think is absolutely wild is that I went to one appointment before I was given my prescription. One. You might be thinking, oh, well, they probably asked you a ton of questions. Nope. They barely asked me anything. I basically walked in there and was like, I'm trans. And they were like, okay. They didn't question me. They didn't sit down with me and question and talk, like, is this really what's right for you? They were just like, okay, this is the next step in your transition. We'll give it to you. I was on testosterone for about 6 months, and luckily it didn't affect me super bad. I can still talk in a higher range and pass as female. Of course, there's a lot of changes that are permanent that I'm gonna have to live with for the rest of my life. After about 2 years of living as a male, I realized I was wrong. But I didn't come out about that right away. I stayed living as male for another year before I really finally decided that I needed to do this. And it was one of the most scary things that I ever did. I've faced so much backlash. I've found it that people are so quick to accept trans people, but so quick to criticize detransitioners. Once I detransitioned, all my mental problems were gone. I'm happy. That was my issue. The fact that I'd convinced myself that I was a dude.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. How many people have to come forward and say that they were placed on hormones or approved for surgery in one fell swoop, one appointment, before we stop the whole talking point of, there's a system in place and, doctors work together with parents in tandem with psychologists to make the right decision about the. No, that is not what's happening. I don't care if that's even what's on paper. That's not what's happening. I was an adult when I detransitioned, but same here, girl. I walked in and out about 20 minutes and got an estrogen prescription. And granted, I'm an adult, but this just goes to show you, it's not just adults that they're putting through the system very quickly. It's babies. It's children. It's young girls with their entire life ahead of them. And she still does have her entire life ahead of her. I'm not going to take that away from her. But she clearly has been like, the voice ain't going back. And it's not as bad as a lot of, detransitions I've seen. But there's clearly altering of her voice she'll have to deal with forever. And, she didn't really go into like the social, sort of stigma of detransitioning, but I can't imagine, convincing everyone around me in my life, like, this is who I am. This is the right move for me. I know what I'm doing. I know who I am. This is my truth. And then having them all doubt you, I'm sure at first, because that's how it goes. And then be like, actually, you guys were all right. That's painful. I applaud her for having the wherewithal to do that, to realize the decision was wrong for her and not go further with it, because who knows what another year or two or whatever on hormones would have done to her. But look what they're doing to these children. Every day I'm told, like, Blaire, when are you going to address the anti-trans legislation happening in all these states? And it's like always a ban on kids going on hormones. And I'm supposed to be like, oh my God, they're coming for trans people. No, y'all are coming for kids. And when they start really coming for trans people, y'all are going to want to blame people like me who are trying to speak out. But no, it's your fault. It's your fault. You are causing this. So my heart goes out to her, because she's absolutely right. People are so quick to support trans people, but then you detransition and go figure, because it's a cult, they treat you exactly how a cult would. Ask anyone who's left the Westboro Baptist Church. Didn't we say earlier in this episode it's like some Westboro Baptist shit? Go talk to anyone who's left any of these religions or any of these cults. It's always an issue. You are excommunicated. You are treated badly. You are love bombed when you come out as trans, and then you are shunned when you realize it was a mistake. And I was having this discussion earlier the other night, off camera, how it really is insane how females are affected by the trans stuff so much more, in the sense of the things that they do to their bodies are so much more permanent. The hormones affect them in such a more drastic way. For example, estrogen did not change my voice. I know everyone's like, how'd you get your voice like that? First of all, I think my voice is kind of clocky, but I actually kind of like it. But I never trained my voice. This is just my voice, right? Estrogen doesn't change that for males. Testosterone wrecks your voice as a female. Males who are trans, this is the exception of bottom surgery, obviously, because bottom surgery for biological males is obviously very extreme. And so is bottom surgery for females. But the bottom surgery is a lot harder to get as a biological male. They don't put minors through that as often as they put minors through top surgery when they're female. And then, oh, well, if you regret it too bad, you can never feed your children in the future, if you can even have children, right? Because the testosterone also makes you infertile. So if you can even ever have children, you can't ever feed them with your breast, because we cut those off by the time you were 13. And here's where everyone says, it's not 13. Yeah, it is. You got to get caught up to speed. It's happening to 13-year-olds. This is a 15-year-old placed on testosterone. I know, I have firsthand experience going into the same clinic that I got my transition surgeries at, and them telling me that they had to, because of a recent law in Texas, cancel appointments for 12 to 17-year-olds because they could no longer do top surgeries on those patients. They were doing top surgeries on 12-year-olds. Do you even have breasts at 12? I didn't develop as a female at 12, so I don't really know when they first start sprouting, but I don't really see 12-year-olds with anything to cut off, if I'm being honest. So what are they even finding on the body to cut off? The detransition wave is undeniable. The detransition wave is here. It is only going to escalate to a huge extent. And this is something that I have yet to see the trans community actually form a coherent rebuttal to. Like, whenever I see trans people talk about the detransition community and wave and the Reddit page and all that, they really only talk about how these people are grifters and how they're trying to just take trans people down because everything's about them, right? Because they're narcissists. It's not that it's a deeply, it's not that it's a person who was traumatized in some way or hurt in some way by the medical system telling their story and trying to help others in their position. It's about y'all, right? It's about them trying to take you down by sharing their story, right? Everything's about you, motherfuckers. God, I just cannot stand the state of the trans community. I could really go off about it all day because it really is demented. I hate when I see this. I really hate when I see children affected by this, adults as well. But it's like, honestly, everyone says, Blaire, what are you going to do when they restrict healthcare for adults? At what point do they not put a pause on all of it when this is what's happening, when this level of malpractice is happening? We talked about the clinic in St. Louis. Again, not saying I support taking away adults' right to transition, but if I sat up here and really said that it would make no sense for them to put all of it on pause, considering the incredible amount of harm that they're doing in the current state, it's like, would they be completely wrong for that? I don't know. You decide. But the other day in my Destiny debate, I was talking about the clinic in St. Louis that was putting kids on hormones that were identifying as non-binary cats, whose gender identity was changing day to day. It wasn't even stable, and they were placing these kids on hormones. And you want to tell me this is an industry that deserves to thrive? I don't think so. So again, these people are going to have to come up with some sort of explanation and way to handle the detrans community, because it's only growing. And all my love and support goes out to this young girl. And I'm glad you got out while you could with, minimal repercussions. And I hope that you live an amazing life as the woman that you are, Miss Girl. Hey, if you guys enjoyed that short clip from the podcast, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well as my main channel and watch the full episode, which will be somewhere on the screen.